Tottenham Hotspur have underlined their renewed ambition with what is shaping up to be the biggest transfer window in the club's history, with reports suggesting they could still invest a further £250 million before the transfer window closes. Tottenham are now expected to make a signing of a winger, their next priority, with AC Milan's Rafael Leão, Manchester City's Savinho and Manchester United's Marcus Rashford all emerging as potential targets. A report claims that Spurs could make a move for Bournemouth attacker Eli Junior Kroupi in a deal that could take their summer spending to over £300 million. And Simon Jordan states that the people running Tottenham don't know what they're doing. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. And please make sure you turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever we go live or upload a video to the channel. And one final request, if you do get a spare moment, please do nominate and vote for us at the 2026 Football Content Awards. All of the details are below. Your support, as always, is really appreciated. Okay, let's get into it. A BBC report states that Tottenham Hotspur have sent a powerful message to the rest of the Premier League by embarking on the most ambitious transfer window in the club's history, with spending already set to reach £237 million and the possibility of a further £250 million still to come. Having narrowly avoided relegation, of course, after finishing 17th in each of the past two seasons, Spurs owners have authorised a dramatic overhaul of the club, determined to restore Tottenham's status as one of English football's traditional Big Six. The spending spree marks a clear break from the cautious financial approach that characterised much of Daniel Levy's tenure as executive chairman. The club have already agreed a series of blockbuster deals, including Jan-Paul van Hecke's £52 million move from Brighton and a club record £85 million transfer for Matheus Fernandes from West Ham United. We've also struck an agreement worth up to £100 million with Newcastle United for Italian midfielder Sandro Tonali, underlining their willingness to compete financially with England's elite. Tottenham's aggressive recruitment has seen them beat rivals to key targets. Tonali had been Arsenal's preferred midfield signing before the Premier League champions deemed Newcastle's valuation too expensive, while Spurs also won the race against Manchester United for Fernandes. The transformation began last September when Daniel Levy stepped down after almost 25 years as executive chairman. New chairman Peter Charrington later revealed that the club recognised that something seismic had to change, describing the current rebuild as a complete departure from previous strategies. Majority owners ENIC, controlled by the Lewis Family Trust, backed those ambitions by injecting a further £100 million into the club for the second time in less than a year. Off the pitch, Tottenham have also reshaped their leadership structure. Vinay Venkatesham was appointed chief executive, while sporting operations were reorganised following Fabio Paratici's departure. After failing to appoint a replacement sporting director, head coach Roberto De Zerbi has been handed significantly greater influence over recruitment. De Zerbi, who took charge in March on a 5-year contract and guided Spurs to Premier League survival, made it clear after the final day victory over Everton that major changes were needed. He suggested only around a dozen players were good enough to remain, prompting one of the busiest recruitment drives in the club's history. Fernandes becomes Tottenham's fifth signing of the summer, joining goalkeeper Martin Dubravka, defenders Marcos Senesi, Andy Robertson and Van Hecke. Several of those arrivals reflect De Zerbi's preferences, with Van Hecke having flourished under him at Brighton and Tonali long admired by the Italian coach. The recruitment strategy also shifts and signals a shift towards signing experienced leaders. Robertson arrives as a decorated former Liverpool captain who has won every major domestic honour and recently led Scotland at the World Cup. Senesi brings 4 years of Premier League experience from Bournemouth, while Fernandes, despite being only 21, has been praised for his maturity and football intelligence. Spurs' willingness to pursue players coveted by other elite clubs also demonstrates a significant increase in the club's wage structure. Under Levy, Tottenham were often unable to compete financially for Europe's top talent, but the new hierarchy have relaxed those restrictions in an effort to attract established stars. Alongside spending, Tottenham are also placing greater emphasis on generating income through player sales. That strategy has already been demonstrated by Brighton's £46 million purchase of young defender Luka Vuskovic, who has yet to play in the Premier League after spending last season on loan at Hamburg. Further departures are expected as De Zerbi continues rebuilding his squad, with attacking reinforcements remaining a priority. Financially, Tottenham are able to support such investment because of changes to football's spending regulations. Under the new squad cost ratio rules, clubs can allocate up to 85% of their revenue to player-related costs, including wages, transfer amortisation and agent fees. Tottenham currently operate well below that threshold. In their latest accounts, wages and transfer amortisation accounted for only 61% of revenue, leaving considerable room for further investment. The club's state-of-the-art stadium has also transformed its financial strength. Matchday income has almost tripled from 45 million at White Hart Lane to 126 million. Commercial revenue has also soared from 73 million to 277 million thanks to concerts, NFL games and other major events hosted throughout the year. Although Tottenham's transfer expenditure appears extraordinary, accounting rules mean the costs are spread across the length of player contracts. A total outlay of around £240 million therefore equates to an annual amortisation cost of approximately £48 million, making the spending more manageable. With total revenues reaching £565 million in the 24-25 financial year, Tottenham could theoretically spend up to £480 million annually on their squad under the current regulations. Backed by stronger finances, fresh investments from ownership and a renewed ambition to challenge the Premier League's elite, Spurs believe they are finally equipped to rebuild after 2 turbulent seasons and re-establish themselves among England's biggest clubs. Give Me Sport report. With the midfield now seen as complete, Tottenham will now likely prioritise a winger transfer, and AC Milan star Rafael Leão has been heavily linked, along with Manchester City's Savinho and Marcus Rashford from Manchester United. On Leão, it's no secret that he is looking for a new club after 7 years with AC Milan, and he is likely to have his pick of a number of top clubs this summer. The winger said before the World Cup, "Personally, I've given everything at AC Milan. It's a club that helped me grow a lot and supported me through tough times." With AC Milan bracing for Leao's exit, it is reported by Italian journalist Gianluca Di Marzio that the Italian giants want 60 to 70 million euros for the winger this summer. Leão is currently away with Portugal at the World Cup, so his future is unlikely to be resolved until after he returns, but a move is almost certain this summer. The 27-year-old scored 10 and assisted 3 last season, but it was a disappointing season for him and Milan as a whole, leading to the Italian club missing out on Champions League football. Still, Leão is thought of as one of Europe's top bracket wingers, and he has already been linked with Tottenham and many others. Having secured deals for Arsenal midfield targets Tonali and Fernandes, Tottenham have reportedly shifted their focus towards strengthening their attack. The Independent reports that Bournemouth's highly regarded Eli Jr. Kroupi tops their transfer wish list. Roberto De Zerbi is said to be keen to conclude his business prior to pre-season getting underway. Spurs are prepared to splash the cash once more to secure the 20-year-old, who is valued in excess of £80 million by the Cherries. Michael Bridge of Sky Sports reports, however, that any deal for Kroupi is considered highly unlikely. Bournemouth have no need to sell and would take an astronomical figure to even consider anything. Arsenal, who have shown interest in Kroupi's situation, will be keen to avoid losing another player to their fiercest rivals, particularly given their need for left-sided forward of Kroupi's calibre. Football.London understands that Arsenal have been monitoring the Frenchman, who handed them the title with a dramatic goal against Manchester City last season for some time. Kroupi is highly regarded for his versatility and clinical finishing, which has drawn comparisons to Kylian Mbappe. Last season, he broke the Premier League record for goals scored by a teenager in a single campaign, netting 13 goals in 33 games. Primarily as a striker, he also effectively operates as a left forward, a position that Tottenham is specifically looking to fill. When Simon Jordan was asked on TalkSport about if Spurs are behaving differently this window, Jordan replied, "Yes, they are, no doubt about it. No, I'm not disputing it. What does it tell you about the players that are joining them? Because with respect to Tonali, why would you go from Newcastle to Tottenham Hotspur? I suspect it's because of the money, and I don't know what that tells you. That tells you that you've either got a player that's playing for money or a player that's playing for ambition, because you're going to a side that's finished fourth from bottom the league last year. We spoke about this. I don't think they know what they're doing. They're paying massively over the odds for these players. I think you've gone from one extreme to the other. I think you've got football expertise that Daniel and his team exhibited at certain times, but they didn't have the balls or the financial desire to push the envelope. Now you've gone the other way, which is, I don't care about financial concerns of what you're doing. You're just going to spend whatever you want to spend, and the fans will love it. The Spurs fans will love it. Of course they will. I don't care about what's happened to Daniel. That's not my business. Daniel's still worth 60 million quid. But you can't really criticise them or accuse them of a lack of objectivity with regard to they know what they're doing. And when Jordan was asked if he was ready to jump on board and accept that Levy was holding the club back on the pitch despite all his other great work in other areas around the club, Jordan stated, because the majority shareholders have changed their view. I mean, I realise that in the one-dimensional myopic world of fans that don't really understand how it works behind the scenes, that the optics of it are very clear. We now know, and as the majority shareholders, that they've changed their view. We were the same majority shareholders as before. We were the cash in the room. Daniel Levy didn't have the economic wherewithal. Daniel ran it on behalf of the majority shareholders. Daniel Levy couldn't just go and write cheques no matter what. He had to bring the income in to write the cheques. It's the same ownership group, but if they hadn't finished 17th and 17th in back-to-back seasons, would they be splashing the cash right now? I will agree with a lot of fans that I think Daniel is ostensibly an accountant by profession. I think he doesn't feel things viscerally the way certain people will do, because the emotional investment that certain football operators will feel will be aligned with the views of the fans. The way that Daniel ran the club was to balance the books and drive the revenue. You've now got a different motivation. You've got a different attitude by the same people that were controlling the dynamics of the business. I think they recognise that to sell this football club, they need to try and start winning things. Daniel's my mate, but I don't really care that much about whether Daniel's running Tottenham Hotspur or not. Was he wrong to run it the way he did? He ran it the way he was able to. You could have made slightly ballsier decisions where you take the risk because you're emotionally motivated in certain ways, but Daniel's not built that way. But what Daniel did do was provide a platform. What they've decided to do now is, we don't care about the economic viability of this football club. We don't care about the sustainability of it. We're going to try and buy our way to success, which is the blueprint of football clubs like, to some extent, Manchester City. The challenge is, here's my view, they don't know what they're doing. They're paying £100 million for Tonali, they're paying £85 million for Fernandes. They've gone from actually having some degree of control over what they're buying. First of all, I don't think they've got any football expertise in the building in terms of the commercial side of things. I don't think Vinay has a clue about football. I think he knows how to run commercial things, but I think he has no clue about football. I think the sporting directors in there are not good enough, so they're making decisions on where we can spend the money. They've now gone from buying players at a certain budget to stop buying players or start buying players at top money. Well done. and they've now gone to paying players top wages. You're not going to get Tonali because he wants to come to Spurs. You're getting Tonali because you're paying Newcastle 100 million quid, and this guy's going to get 300 grand a week. They're trying to increase the popularity, increase the style of play so they can sell the club. The club's been for sale for a long time, although not for a for sale sign in front of it because they're financially unviable, but it's been for sale for a long time. I'm not criticising ambition. You're asking me to qualify my views. I've said for a long time, because somehow I've been pigeonholed into being Daniel's PR, I have turned around and said Daniel built a spaceship. I said this a long time ago. It might need someone different to run it. So I said that a long time ago. I don't think they've got the commercial understanding of the football operation to make football decisions. Whether Joe Lewis has stepped back and allowed his children and grandchildren to become more involved, whether they got fed up with Daniel because people fall out in business all the time, and ultimately Daniel was the focal point of Tottenham Hotspur. Lewis and his family have suddenly decided to rock into a room and decide now, based upon the decisions that they've made, that they're going to change the way they operate. Now, the question is, if they're to change the way they operate, could Daniel have made them change the way they operate? And if they had changed the way they operate, would Daniel have been the right person to manage it? And I would say yes. Now you can make this case and they can play this gallery and they can all say that Levy is the worst thing that God ever put breath into Tottenham Hotspur fans, but the reality is something different. Now we will see. Now we will see how this plays out. I'm willing to wager you it will not play out the way Spurs now think they've got the utopia. We've got Daddy Warbucks in the building that's now going to buy his way to absolute success. I bet they bloody don't. Okay, good luck with Spurs. Okay, here's my thoughts on those stories today. Firstly, the spending is set to continue under ENIC, this new look ENIC. What's happened? What's happened to my football club? You know, spending well over £230 million already. And what's the date of recording? You know, we're just into July. I mean, it's unheard of, isn't it? And we're actually getting players in for pre-season for the manager. Totally unheard of. I love it. It's the right way of doing things. It's what Spurs fans have cried out for years. It's almost like the frustration of recent transfer windows over the last decade, probably. It's just a relief we're getting these players in. Look, there's no success this is going to work, but when you look at the players that we've brought in, the experience is a total seismic shift in the way Spurs are doing things. And I'll come back to it. I think it's because, especially last season, they got a real shock. You know, we could have been relegated, so they've finally seen that they've got to do things differently. I'll obviously come on to the last story there, the Simon Jordan story, in a minute, but if the club is for sale, they've got to try and raise that price, and this is how they're looking to do it. Regardless of what ENIC says, I personally think that the club is for sale at the right price. I think everything's for sale at the right price. So, look, ultimately, we've got no control over that. All we care about is as fans is the club buying players and pushing forward. And at the moment, it looks like we are. And this spending to continue leads on nicely to the stories about Leão and Kroupi. So I personally love both these players. I really, really do. Could just see us getting both. Who knows with this new look Tottenham? who really knows? But Leão, I've rated this player a lot. I know a lot of people think he's a bit lazy, but I've watched him at AC Milan. I think he's a phenomenal player, and that would be an absolute statement signing. Actually, more affordable than Kroupi, actually. Kroupi, Bournemouth are going to want top dollar for him, and the price is the price, ready-made Premier League player, really good season last season for Bournemouth. It's probably unlikely this deal gets done, but Spurs have maintained an interest in this player for a couple of windows now. But could you see us getting Kroupi and Leão? I mean, what a statement couple of signings that would be. It does seem like Spurs are moving forward, doesn't it? Obviously, they've got the goalkeeper position sorted, defence, midfield, and now you'd think... we've heard he wants Roberto De Zerbi wants two attacking players, one that can play central striker and one that can play on the left as well. These two players fit that mould, so let's see what happens with that. I did see some players, some fans rather, on X talking about, we've got £250 million to spend. Could we not buy that certain England captain, Harry Kane? What a homecoming that would be. I think Kane's going to sign a new deal. at Bayern Munich, sadly. But yeah, what a statement that would have been. But anyway, I digress. Coming back to Leão and Kroupi again. Neither of these might happen, but Spurs are definitely going to be going big on attackers. You feel, if we didn't have any evidence previously of like the Tonali and the Fernandes deal, then you think, okay, it's just another rumour, but you could actually see Spurs doing this now, the way we've been operating, and I love it. I'm here for it. It's great to see. Puts a smile on your face, doesn't it? Finally, the final story, Simon Jordan on Spurs. He always seems to get a bit of grief about his relationship with Daniel Levy. Yes, they are mates. He would have been, I think it's clear he was disappointed the way Daniel Levy was unceremoniously booted out of Spurs after 25 years. Jordan's commented on that quite a lot. I do agree with a lot of what Simon Jordan says a lot of the time. I happen to disagree with him on aspects of that that story that I read out and what he was talking about on TalkSport. I wouldn't say Daniel Levy. I've never been one of these Levy out people. I think Daniel Levy had his faults when he was at Tottenham, definitely. I don't think it should ever be overlooked what he did achieve for the club, but things did need to change, and we will never really know if Daniel Levy was the primary person that was holding Spurs back. Well, I still think it's probably a mixture of everything, and that the Lewis family were not ploughing money into the club, which we all know that is fact. And he was working under the budgetary constraints of ENIC and the Lewis family. However, I think he could have been definitely could have been a bit more brave and a bit more bold in the transfer market, and he did scupper a few deals, and that was probably his downfall in the end. But let's not forget what Daniel Levy did do for the club, but some fans won't give him enough the credit he deserves for that. But look, I'm not saying he was a saint. He wasn't. As I clearly say, he held us back with transfers a few times when we should have pushed on. We all know the Pochettino team. He should have done more, 100%. And I still think we would have won that Champions League if we brought in a couple of players in January and not actually sold Moussa Dembele. What did we let him go for? 5 odd million, and that was it. There was plenty of mistakes, but regardless of that, it seems like Simon Jordan is actually a bit bitter that Spurs are spending money, and he doesn't actually rate what Spurs are doing. There are figures behind the scenes at Tottenham, and we all know them, that we're not convinced. Obviously, Johan Langer's come in for a lot of stick, hasn't he? Venkatesham's come in for a lot of stick. Well, they are putting their money where their mouth is. They are getting the players in. So let's see where we land at the end of this transfer window and what this squad looks like. It's important we get players out the door as well. There will be other players be going out. So yeah, let's watch this space over the next few weeks. The World Cup is coming to its conclusion over the next few weeks as well, and then there'll be a little break, and then pre-season starts, and we'll be fully back in the swing of Premier League football. So it'll be good to have it all back, but I'll be fascinated to see the further deals that Spurs do to bring players in, and the players that are going to be leaving the club as well. That's all from me today. Get down in the comments, let me know how you're feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now, and as always, come on you Spurs.